Imagine waking up tomorrow and the world map looks different. News alerts are blowing up your phone, but it's not about conflict. It's an announcement about a creation of epic proportions. 8 independent nations have disappeared, and in their place stands a single, unified state. This isn't a movie plot. It's the very real story of what would happen if the countries of the East African community finally merged, creating a new global superpower overnight. This new country would be the largest in Africa, and with just the stroke of a pen, would become the 3rd most populous nation on Earth. The geopolitical, economic and cultural shockwaves would be instant and massive. Borders redrawn, global trade rerouted, and the balance of power shifted for good. This is the story of the Eastern African Federation. And get this, it's not just a what-if. This is a project that's been simmering for decades, a vision for a united East Africa that's actively being pursued. Leaders from Burundi, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Kenya, Rwanda, Somalia, South Sudan, Tanzania, and Uganda are working towards a political federation. Now the road is bumpy and full of obstacles, but the goal is clear. Create a super country that would change the destiny of Africa and the world. So what would this new reality actually be like? The birth of the Eastern African Federation, or EAF, would be an event of staggering size. The new nation would cover over 5.4 million square kilometers, making it the largest country in Africa and the 7th largest in the world. Its territory would stretch from the Indian Ocean's sandy shores across the Great Rift Valley all the way to the Atlantic, a true transcontinental state. Instantly, this new federation would have a population of over 343 million people. To put that into perspective, it would have more people than the United States, Brazil, and Nigeria. And with the region's high growth rates, demographers predict the EAF's population could rocket past 450 million by 2050, creating a demographic giant. Its combined GDP would be around $350 billion, with a purchasing power parity of over $1 trillion, immediately placing it among Africa's largest economies. The proposed capital? Arusha, Tanzania, a city that's already a hub for diplomacy. English, French, and Swahili would likely be the official languages, helping to bridge the diverse cultures. But let's be real, creating a country isn't as simple as drawing new lines on a map. The immediate challenges would be enormous. The 8 member states are at vastly different economic levels. Kenya, for example, has a much larger industrial economy than developing nations like Burundi or a country like South Sudan that has faced internal conflict. This economic gap could easily stir up internal tensions, with fears that the richer regions might dominate the Union. Then there's the messy world of politics. The region has its share of long-standing border disputes, internal conflicts, and political rivalries, like the tensions between the DRC and Rwanda. The new federation would also have to deal with ongoing instability in eastern DRC and Somalia. Forging a single cohesive government from 8 very different political systems means giving up a lot of national sovereignty, a move that is always politically tricky and tough to pull off. Despite the hurdles, the potential rewards of unification are game-changing, and the ripple effects would be felt all over the world. The most immediate change would be economic. Creating a customs union and a common market would tear down internal trade barriers. Goods, money, and people could move freely across a market of over 300 million, much like the European Union. This would slash tariffs and simplify trade. This new economic giant would be a resource powerhouse. The Democratic Republic of the Congo alone is sitting on a treasure trove of minerals like cobalt and coltan, which are critical for our phones and electronics. Combine that with the farming potential of Kenya and Tanzania, Uganda's energy resources, and Somalia's strategic coastline, and the EAF would control a massive and diverse pool of natural wealth. This unified control would give it incredible leverage in global trade talks, letting it demand better prices for its resources. The proposed single currency, the East African shilling, has faced delays but could one day stabilize the economy and attract a flood of foreign investment. This new economic muscle would translate directly into geopolitical power. As a single entity, the EAF would have serious sway in places like the African Union and the United Nations. It would no longer be 8 separate voices, but one powerful bloc that could negotiate on equal footing with giants like the United States, China, and the EU. Militarily, the Federation would be a force to be reckoned with. By combining their armed forces, the EAF could create a more effective standby force to handle regional conflicts and ensure stability within its own borders. potentially bringing peace to areas long plagued by violence. Many believe a unified federation could have prevented or lessened past conflicts in the region, showing the power of collective security. Beyond the big-picture politics and economics, the EAF would completely change the daily lives of its people. What are now international borders would become more like state lines in the US. A citizen from Kampala could easily travel to Nairobi, open a business in Kinshasa, or go to university in Dar es Salaam. This freedom of movement would likely create a new East African identity, built on shared economic goals, common languages, and cultural mixing, even as national cultures remain strong. Of course, you'd need massive infrastructure projects to connect this vast territory. New highways and railways would link the Indian Ocean ports to the heart of the continent, turning cities like Nairobi, Kampala, and Kinshasa into bustling regional hubs. This wouldn't just boost trade, it would bring people closer together, strengthening the bonds of the new federation. The journey to this new reality is already underway. Leaders have been holding national consultations on a draft constitution. While deadlines have been pushed back before, the political will seems to be there, with leaders frequently recommitting to the final goal of a political federation. The vision of the Eastern African Federation is one of the most ambitious nation-building projects in modern history. It's a powerful statement about unity and a bold attempt to rewrite the future. But the big question is, can they overcome the huge challenges of political rivalries, economic gaps, and security threats? What do you think would be the biggest win or the greatest risk of this super country becoming a reality? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you think these geopolitical what-ifs are as fascinating as we do, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. The creation of the Eastern African Federation wouldn't just be a political merger, it would be a world-altering event. The rise of a new global superpower, born from the voluntary union of 8 nations, would send a powerful message about African unity. It would be a country overflowing with resources, rich in culture, and enormous in population. The path forward is definitely not easy. Forging one nation from such a diverse group of states is a massive undertaking that requires overcoming deep-seated historical and political roadblocks. Success is far from guaranteed, but if the visionaries behind this project pull it off, they will have done more than just redraw a map. They will have created a new center of gravity in global affairs and a powerful, unified voice for a continent on the rise. The Eastern African Federation is still a tantalizing what if, but it's a what if that gets a little closer to reality every year, promising a future where the combined strength of these nations could truly change the world.